Welcome to Screen Riot, the show where we let fate choose the movie we review. This week's movie is 1986's sports film, The Color of Money. So obviously this episode is going to contain major spoilers, so if you don't have the movie, it's streaming on Amazon Prime, or available to rent on iTunes, Amazon Prime, and more for $2.99. So go check out the film, come back to the podcast, because this is Screen Riot. So welcome to another great episode of Screen Riot. Like I said in the top of the show, this week's episode is about 1986 sports film, The Color of Money. Again, if you're enjoying the podcast, go ahead and go to the Apple Podcast app, rate us, like us, subscribe to us, do all that. Leave a review, we'd really appreciate it. Go to our website, americanpodcasting.net, and go to our merch store and our Patreon, all that's available there.
Buy some stuff.
Yes, that would really help us out. So, this is episode 11. We're in double digits past the last episode, so that's pretty cool. And this one was my choice for sports film, Color of Money. This is I think I said last time that it was probably in my top 5, which I still kind of, after watching this, it still kind of solidifies it, that this is definitely like in my top 5.
Well, it definitely makes you want to go play billiards.
Exactly. Every time I watch this movie, which is probably about once a year, maybe once every couple years. Mm-hmm. I just want to go over to the local pool hall and try to hustle some money or something.
Yeah, but it never works because you never get a ball in.
That's not true.
Kind of.
I'm okay at pool.
I'm okay.
It just depends on how many beers you have throughout the night.
Right. Yeah. There's a nice in this movie actually, like when he started drinking too much. I was like, I've been there, because you have that point where you're like, oh yeah, okay, so I'm like on my game, and it's like, about 3 or 4 in or something like that. You're like, I am hot.
Yeah, you're having fun.
I am hot right now. And then you keep drinking, and then you just progressively get worse.
Yeah.
And then Forrest Whitaker takes all your money.
Yeah, pretty much.
Forrest Whitaker comes out and goes, I was doing things just for the experience, and you're like, me too.
Yeah, you asshole.
Why you give me the stink eye?
Hustler.
Ouch.
Oh man, that's bad.
Ouch.
Sorry,
too soon,
I'm making fun
Justin.
of a millionaire.
That's true.
Kind of funny, but
What is he worth?
Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah,
He's got to be worth a lot, man. That's the last king of Scotland right there. It's got to be a lot. So what made you originally choose this movie?
Just because it's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
Like I said, the other reason is because this is a remake of another movie called The Hustler.
Remake or a sequel? It's a sequel.
Okay, it's a sequel.
It's a
Yes,
sequel.
you're right.
I would say it's a sequel.
It's a sequel.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same story to a degree.
To a degree. Yeah.
And I really like the original as well, the 1961 version.
Yep.
It's very cool that Paul Newman is, the kid in the original.
Yes.
The pool shark.
Yeah.
And then
The Hustler.
Yeah, The Hustler. And then, this movie, which was 25 years later, now he's the mentor and he's mentoring somebody else. So yeah, it's exactly a sequel. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because with the Hustler, Paul Newman, he learns a lesson sort of at the end, but it's not a complete lesson. And in The Color of Money, he sort of completes that and actually comes full circle back to being a real pool player or billiards player, as opposed to being just a hustler.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just out there for money, just to hustle people.
Yeah, but it takes Tom Cruise, what's his name, Vince, takes him basically kicking Paul Newman when he wasn't expecting it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like doing a hustle when he wasn't ready to be. He's like, no, I thought we were playing our best game, and he's like, no, it was a hustle. I dunked,
Right.
and he's like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Now what? Like,
I don't know where I stand.
My whole world is coming down crashing again. You know what I mean? And it's like that crisis of self that he goes through really quickly, but he goes through it. I think really makes the movie, to be honest with you. And that's most of this movie is Paul Newman finding himself. It's it's under the guise of training Vincent and all this stuff, but realistically what's happening is that he's trying to find himself again.
Exactly.
It's almost a midlife crisis on screen.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
So
It's like he really wants to retire. He wants to like just get away from it all. But there's that one thing. I think if Tom Cruise character Vince, if he didn't actually come into the picture, I think he would have been in the Bahamas. Like,
well, maybe. Well, he's been in retirement from pool for 25 years.
Right, but I think he was. I think seeing Tom Cruise, I don't think he was ever going to go back into pool.
No.
Or billiards or 9-ball or whatever.
I don't think he knew he was lost.
Right.
For lack of a better term, before he met Vince.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's like he met Vince and started talking to him and started basically running a hustle on him.
Right.
And realized, hey, I kind of like this kid, and now I'm missing a part of me that I used to be.
Well, that's what he says whenever he says, you're sitting in it and I'm wearing alcohol, like, bourbon money.
Right.
And he's been running liquor, for a few years. That's basically what he's been doing. It's a job, but it's not really his soul, so to speak. His soul is playing pool.
Right.
Not hustling per se, but playing pool.
No, but he's bankrolling just to be around that still.
Yeah, he's
bankrolling other players.
Yeah.
Which I think he knows that he's better than them.
Oh, yeah,
but
of course.
he just...
Especially John Turturro.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Turturro's really just good for snorting cocaine.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then coming out with it all over his face.
Yes.
Right.
Just doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of, like, good players, like, we've done some research about this movie that we learned that Tom Cruise basically learned all the trick shots, except for one in particular where they had to bring in a professional...
Yeah, the jump shot where he jumps
the jump
over
shot where
the
it's
two balls.
jump over two balls. Yeah.
Which I believe Scorsese said that he wanted to give him a chance to do that shot, but he's like, but it might take him 2 or 3 days, and to be honest with you, they just didn't have the money.
Yeah,
right.
And speaking of money, it's since Paul Newman was in the original, it was him that came to Scorsese
with the idea
to do the sequel, and he was like, I want Scorsese, I want you to do it, Marty, because everybody calls him Marty apparently in the biz. Yeah. So Marty, I want you to do it. Basically, I want you to use this as a vehicle to show to everybody you can make a picture on time and under budget.
That makes sense.
And then that's kind of why that Scorsese made that decision to not, quote unquote, waste time, money, whatever, to have Tom Cruise learn that trick.
And that was Scorsese's last under budget on time.
Oh, was it really?
No, I have no idea. Oh. But I mean, one could think. One could guess.
You were telling me that Newman had full edit control or something.
He had veto power over the director.
Okay.
So of who was actually going to make the film. So they basically said, since you have that, go find a director, and Scorsese won.
Wow. Yeah, there was things I remember because I like I said, I used to watch this movie all the time when I was a kid, and I remember watching the DVD extras for this, and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio
or
whatever her name is. Yeah. She apparently was the last one to be to audition for that role, and she picked it up, and she was the last one, and she actually picked up the role. She's done other stuff, like she was in The Abyss and a bunch of other movies. I actually like her as an actress. I saw a little more of her in this movie than I needed to, but hey.
Yeah.
But the thing about Newman, like going back with the script and all that kind of stuff, apparently it went through a shit ton of edits. Like it wasn't like a straightforward like, oh, here's just the script. It went through a ton of edits, and it had to keep going back to Paul Newman to get those edits. And it was a ton of stuff. It was like 50 plus edits to get it right.
Yeah, you're telling me about the Jackie Gleason character, the Minnesota Fats character from the original.
Yep.
That they were going to put it in.
Yes, and it was going to be like a drunkard old man type character, and Jackie Gleason wouldn't do it. He's like, nope, don't want to do that. Just let it be what it is and let it go. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't join the film.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if that would have changed the tone of the film at all.
I think it could have made it kind of interesting in a way, because it would have had the teacher teaching the student, who then goes back and sees his own teacher.
Right.
Which might be an interesting curve on the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like not teacher like full fledged, but you know what I mean? Like enough of a teacher standpoint where you're like, oh, okay. Like, well, why do you think, why are you here now? Why are you at this point in your life? I'm at a different point in my life, and I can tell you this or something. I imagine that's where they would have gone. Because the whole point of the film, by the time they get to the end anyway, is that like for instance, he throws the match, right? He throws the last match because he didn't beat Tom Cruise. He didn't feel like he'd earned being there.
Right. If
it was the Eddie Felson character, Fast Eddie Felson from The Hustler, he just would have stayed,
right,
and just been like, "Cool, I'll clean up. Whatever. You threw the match. Thanks. Good on you. I'm gonna go win this now." But instead, he's like, "Well, fuck, I don't deserve to be here.
Yeah, and then he forfeits.
He forfeits and gives up. Yeah, to the guy in the head wrap.
Yeah,
the guy in the do rag.
Yeah.
It was stylish though, right? It was all color coordinated.
So you can't forfeit. Ooh.
Yes. Actually,
I don't want to win like this.
Yeah, but I will. Thank you. Just so we're clear. Yeah, I don't know. There's a few scenes in it that are strange, and the again going through and trying to find yourself and all that. The first pool hall they go to, and Kyle, I noticed you laughed at this part in the movie whenever they first went to the first pool hall and there were no tables there,
right?
Because Tom Cruise and Elizabeth Mastrantonio are laughing,
yeah,
which makes sense. It's a little bit comical, but it's actually more indicative of Paul Newman and saying his what he believed to be true and what his past are.
He's out of touch.
Yeah, he's a has-been.
He's a has-been. It's gone.
Right.
Like it, where you thought, and it's echoed again whenever he pulls up to the guys around the fire barrel who are like, he's like, do you know where the Triumph Hotel is? And they're like, yeah, down here, etc. But they had to think about it. It's not like asking like, hey, where's the Hilton? Oh, the new Hilton? Yeah, it's down the street. It's the Triumph Hotel. It's this old ass, carpeted brass railing. Old style.
Well, nobody asked about it. Like,
exactly.
It's kind of fading away.
Exactly. And the same thing with Chalky's. He's like, is Chalky still there? And he's like, where the fuck would it go? Where would it go? He's like, well, no, I mean, is it still open? He's like, yeah, of course it's open. But that piece of like, he's almost having to redefine or reintroduce, not reintroduce, what's it called? Like, whenever you find yourself, not reactivate. It's like whenever you find yourself again, you have to rediscover. He had to rediscover who he is as a person and especially as a billiards player. I just think it's an interesting film from that perspective, if nothing else.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, this has been years, like over 5 or 6 years since I've seen this movie, probably even more than that. So I have forgotten a lot about this film. So it was like watching it for the first time, which is kind of nice.
Oh, I can see that.
I like watching movies that I haven't seen in a very long time. It's like a brand new experience again.
Yeah.
There were some pieces and parts of it that I was like, okay, I remember this, but I did not necessarily know what was coming up next all the time. And when Paul Newman, I think, he basically changed from the mentor. It was like, I don't want to do this anymore type thing. Just take the money and go to Atlantic City and just do it yourself. Because it's like, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But I think do you think he got jealous that Tom Cruise was getting all the...
No, he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Was he embarrassed?
He was embarrassed and he felt inferior.
Yes.
And I think it's almost like, how in movies with alcoholics they will hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Well, that was his rock bottom, was not being able to see Forrest Whitaker hustling him, and he just kept going back for more, going back for more, even when he had his suspicions.
Right.
And Forrest Whitaker wouldn't answer, but basically did answer by not answering.
He just gave that smile.
He just gave the smile, and he's like, all right, yeah, we don't need to worry about any money and this, that, or the other. That was his answer, like, yes, I am. Is like, double or nothing anyway. You just keep going.
Yeah.
Well, that was pride. When he wouldn't give it up, that was pride talking. And that's one thing Vince had a problem with too, was pride.
Mm-hmm.
When you said, how was he feeling or whatever, Scorsese shows us with a camera angle. So there's like, I always forget, high angle, low angle. High angle's from up high, right?
Yeah, like birds up.
Oh, okay, so he was down low.
Yeah,
so he was on his low.
Right after.
And they kept cutting to, the opposite of going upstairs, and the two were up there.
Yes,
right?
but right before that, right after he leaves the table, right after he gives the $400 to Whitaker, and he walks over to his jacket.
Yeah.
It's a super high angle shot, and then it comes down because it's on a
crane.
It's on a crane. Thank you. I forgot. I was like the weighted. It's got weights on one end. Yes, it's on a crane. So he's able to drop it down.
Yeah, but it's dual purpose because it also shows that Vince and his girlfriend are standing there, witnessing this downfall. I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, it's him realizing, hey, you may not actually be at the tippity top of the mountain like you thought you were.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in his mind, he's still 22 years old, 24 years old.
Sure.
Kick the shit out of anybody at any point.
Hurts your ego.
Yes. Yeah. Now he's realizing, he's like, well, I always thought I could kick Julian's ass because, I mean, the guy's a cokehead who goes to the bathroom constantly. But instead, hey, there's possible he might have kicked my ass. Who knows? And I can be hustled. Whereas I would have been the one calling out these hustles, 30 years ago. Now I could be hustled. Yeah. Oh, shit. It's over for me. I'm done. I retire again.
And then he has his out loud monologue where he's like, why didn't I see that coming? Maybe I had too much booze. Maybe I was too cocky.
Yeah.
He's like going back through all of his steps of when he was trying to hustle.
Yeah.
Whitaker.
I think it got
out hustled. I guess
it was kind of interesting because when he's like, I didn't see it coming. I didn't see this, or I didn't see this, or I'm blind. It's not necessarily all physical. It could be all, part mental as well, because he did have seeing problems. Yes. So he went to go get glasses. But that was where you saw Paul Newman's character, come back to life. It's like once he got
the training montage.
Yeah, once he basically got new glasses.
Yeah.
Number one, number two. Yeah.
What was interesting about that was when he's doing the glasses in particular.
Yes.
He's putting the lenses down, and the guy's like, better or worse? And he's like, better. He puts down the next one, which is thicker. And he's like, better or worse? He's like, better. This guy's fucking blind. Like, he's not a little bit like, I got like a little bit of an issue. No, he's blind. He's been not wearing glasses like he's supposed to out of pride. Yeah. Pride has been his biggest issue. By the way, the training montage, it reminds me of what I think Justin probably feels like if he exercises even once a year. Because the guy, he goes swimming. Paul Newman goes swimming one time, and he's like, okay, ready to do this. Let's do this.
Yeah, for sure.
All you got to do is one exercise, apparently. And, hey, it's time for the Olympics. Let's make this work.
Bring it on.
I was kind of wondering, with when he got hustled, Forrest Whitaker asked, am I fat?
Yes, that was from Montana. That was Minnesota Fat.
Yeah, I think that was a reference to the original.
Okay. I gotcha. Okay. I was kind of wondering where that came from. I was like, well, is it because he can't see? Like, you obviously didn't see that I was hustling you. So, do you even see me? Like, am I fat?
and see, as someone who has not seen The Hustler, I just took it as that's just one more dig. He's like you're obviously, like you said, it's like you're obviously not.
You obviously can't see me.
It. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There are about 3 or 4 references to the original movie, which are kind of cool. That's kind of cool to me. Like I think one of the first ones is Eddie says he's having that heart to heart with Tom Cruise in the diner, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm too old. The pool's a young man's game." And he goes, I haven't played in 25 years or whatever, because when you think about it, this was 86, the original was 61. That's 25 years.
That's quite a while.
Yeah. So
you let go of a pool cue that long, you're gonna get a little rusty.
Yeah. So actually, let's speak a little bit about the pool cue.
Yeah.
The Balabushka.
The fabled Balabushka. Balabushka. Yeah. So I read a little bit that that wasn't an actual Balabushka in the movie. That they had a guy on staff who could create cues, and
what's a cue maker named Joss is his last name. Yeah, Joss. Yeah,
Joss.
Joss.
Okay.
Yeah, he made a replica of Balabushka.
Yeah,
because the actual ones retail at auction they go anywhere between $10,000 and like $50,000.
Yeah, and you don't want Tom Cruise high-yahing around.
Well, then you end up in a Hateful Eight situation where Kurt Russell smashes a guitar in the Hateful Eight. That was an actual guitar. That was an actual.
That's right.
And I think it was from
because
Martin,
he didn't
right?
know.
Because he didn't know.
He thought it was the replica.
He thought it was a replica.
Right.
And I believe it was the Martin collection, the Martin museum collection. And they won't lend out. Now they won't lend that production house props anymore.
That would be. I would feel so bad.
No, the girl who's in that scene too. She was like, oh, like she was sincere, like, oh shit, like no, what are you doing?
Hey, you know what? At least they got the nice reactions.
Oh, they did a realistic oh shit face. Like you just smashed it. I mean, because the guitar was only worth like $20,000 to them. That's nothing. I mean, give me a break. That's today's pay. But the idea that you're smashing 100-year-old guitars, it's probably not a good feeling. But yeah, the Balabushka was a replica, but Balabushka did make the guy George Balabushka made I think around 1,500 cues,
and that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Oh wow!
So it's just rarity is the reason why it's
that, and they are really really high quality.
Yeah, he's considered the Stradivarius of cue makers.
Wow.
Because I never heard of it until I watched this movie for the first time.
Well, it's one of those where you assume it's probably just a made up bullshit name,
right?
But no, it's a real thing. Because I think Newman, to me anyway, he's one of those that collects hobbies from his movies. I think Tom Cruise is the same type of way. So after Newman did The Hustler in '61, he enjoyed playing pool. So I would assume that whenever we got to the '80s, and he's like, yeah, no, in the '70s there was this really great cue maker named Balabushka who made some really awesome cues. Let's work that in, because you know what, that's real life, and we can give the film some texture with this real life piece. So, and he would still be up on that because he, like I said, I think he enjoyed playing pool even after The Hustler.
And something that I found was odd with Tom Cruise playing with the Balabushka.
Yes.
That they broke with the Balabushka. Mm-hmm. And I've always been told by people who play pool and in tournaments and all that to use a house cue for your break.
Yeah. But
they're breaking like crazy with that thing, and I'm like, man, you're gonna break the tip off of that thing. and just now I looked up Balabushka, the brand is still around.
Yeah,
it's not but I mean they start at like $250 around in there,
right? And
just to replace one of their front sticks, I don't know what they're shafts.
Yeah,
it's like $300.
Jesus.
Yeah, so that one you're talking about though isn't really Balabushka.
Right.
Because
it's a brand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's they what's it called? They not rented the name. They
leased.
Paid. Is it leased the
leased
name?
The name?
I think so.
Yeah. So they leased the name basically from the Balabushka family, so that they could put out budget sticks.
Yeah. It's like Hilton hotels and stuff. A lot of them are not really Hilton.
No, they're not just, anymore. Yeah.
Well, no, they're leasing the name, like Hilton by such and such, or Hilton by this other company.
Hilton by Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
That would be something, right?
Yeah. Well, it's just like how Trump, he did his golf courses and everything. It's not his golf course. He just leased the name to name it Trump Golf Course or something like that, or Trump Resort or something like that. He doesn't
all about
own
the royalties.
He doesn't own anything. He just has the name, and they just pay him based on the name.
That's funny.
That's how a lot of people, like business or developers or real estate guys. That's how they make all their money. Yeah. They don't own anything. They just lease their name.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty of this real fast after Justin's done.
Yeah, one more thing about the Balabushka. There's a couple of really good lines in this movie that I like, but one of my favorite is when he first has the Balabushka in the case, and he's sitting there with it, it's all enclosed, and somebody, I think it's Grady Seasons, I could be wrong, but he walks up to him and says, "What do you have in the case?"
Moselle. That's Moselle.
Oh, it was Moselle. Okay. Yeah, so he says, what do you got there? What's in the case, whatever? And then Tom Cruise looks down, the camera pans up to Tom, or tilts up to Tom, and he goes, Doom. And it's interesting because the software developers who created the video game Doom, that's where they got their name. That's
Really?
Where they got the video game name from.
Interesting.
Nice.
Well, yeah, so John Carmack and John Romero, they named their first-person shooter, which spawned tons and tons of money.
And here was this guy, Tom Cruise, Vince. He was an avid video game player before he was 100% into billiards or 9-ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's sitting there playing Stalker, I think it's.
Yeah.
Stalker. It's some kind of car racing, yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Tom Cruise twirling this, $50,000
supposed
stick
around,
like a ninjutsu master.
It's one of the worst parts of the movie.
Yeah.
What?
It is odd.
Oh man, come on.
But,
stop.
But but I noticed the license plate on Eddie's car. Mm-hmm. And for both the front and the back license plate were TK space 6, and I'm like, what is that? It's got to have some kind of significance to it. And I looked it up, and TK6 stands for Take 6, which is the number of times it took Tom Cruise number of takes it took Tom Cruise to film the twirling stick scenes.
Interesting.
With the ninjutsu screaming? Wow, that sounds about right.
I mean, it didn't look that difficult of moves that he was doing, but I guess if to do it right. I guess if it's not natural or something like that.
Yeah, and it's not like a baton where it's weighted the same.
Right, yeah.
You got a fat end of a stick.
And there could have been camera problems and
that too.
Well, I imagine it's probably him. He's been like, "Wait, you want me to do what? Hold on, explain to me one more time, Mr. Newman, please."
No, he'd be like, "Yeah, I could do that. That'd be awesome."
So
I'd do my own stunts.
Doing the nitty gritty on this for a second, pros and cons. What were some things you didn't like about the movie? Because I've got a few, but it's not
the one thing that really popped out to me is the ending. Obviously, is
you didn't like the ending?
At first, I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. They left it up to mystery, but I kind of would like to have seen like a real
match.
Bring your game match between these two characters.
See, okay.
You got to wait for the color money too.
I felt a little cheated.
The color
the
of
time
money.
is ticking, or the clock is ticking.
No, so I'm kind of with you, but I think it's in the speech that he's giving at the end.
Yeah,
because he says he's like, well, what happens if you beat me? And he's like, well, then that's great. And he's like, what happens if I beat you? And he's like, well, I'll get up, dust myself off, and keep coming back. Basically, the ending is that they're going to move forward as equals and not as teacher student or father son or whatever the hell kind of twisted thing that Vince was into.
I mean, I really enjoyed the last line. It was it's like, I'm back, baby, or something like that.
That was that's actually the part I don't like.
Really?
I'm like, yeah, it's so cheesy at the end.
No,
it's
I don't
so
know.
cheesy.
I like it.
I think it fits.
It's Rocky 3 cheesy at the end. It's Rocky like punch and then straight to abstract art. Like it's just I don't know.
I like
a little
that
bit
the
of
ending
impressionism
is ambiguous because it leaves it open to interpretation.
Do you think it's ambiguous though?
Yeah, I think
because you
don't know who's going to win for sure. You can only go based off of
but remember
your inkling.
Remember that pool is really not what this movie's about,
right?
So like you're saying you don't know who's going to win as being the end of the movie. That leaves it ambiguous, but it's not about pool. That's like saying like, well, we don't know who won the match, who won the tournament, because it doesn't matter. It's not about pool. It's about those two guys and where they're at in their journeys. Specifically, Paul Newman. Paul Newman is really the important person in the entire movie,
right?
Although they would lead you to believe it was Tom Cruise, even from the damn movie posters and whatnot, but it's actually all about him. So I mean, I don't know.
People just want to see who wins.
I get you.
I also thought it was kind of interesting how I guess Scorsese, like when they broke up, right? Okay, so Newman gave him all the money, and he's like, you go to the Atlantic City, go there, have fun, whatnot. Then it just, instead of actually following Cruise, it follows Newman
because it's about him. The movie's about him. Yeah,
right.
I'm with you. No,
so I thought it was kind of interesting that here's this rising star, but yet we're just gonna cut out all of his risings.
It's the same. it's the same level of confusion people have about the Return of the Jedi, right? With Return of the Jedi, think about the title. It's a Return of the Jedi. It's not about Luke Skywalker. It's about Anakin Skywalker showing back up and kicking the shit out of the Emperor at the end and being the Jedi that he was and returning as a good person. It's that level. So basically, this movie leads you to believe it's all about Tom Cruise, right? We're going to snap to a hotel rooms. Tom Cruise is going to be there for about 5 seconds, but then Newman's going to show up because Newman is the one we're actually following.
Yeah,
he's actually the most important character in it. But I'm with you. I could see how. I mean, I could see how it would throw you.
Yeah.
There's things about it there's very 80s things I don't like about it, but I'm just curious what you guys think.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that I didn't like about it. Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty. It's not enough Scorsese for me.
Okay.
It's like Scorsese. There's scenes that I go, oh, that's Scorsese. That's Scorsese, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like it's gone for like 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he's back. And then an edit will happen and like, okay, yeah, that's definitely a Scorsese thing. I loved the scene where they were braking, and they just kept intercutting the brakes.
Yeah, so it's like an endless roll of balls and whatnot.
Exactly. I love that. And like, okay, that is Scorsese.
Yeah.
But there's certain places it's like, okay, this is droning on, and this is not like Scorsese to drone something on for a little bit.
Do you have an example of that? Just curious.
No. Okay. But it does lead into my next gripe.
Okay. That's fine.
I don't particularly like the forced Eddie Carmen sexual banter.
Oh, you thought that was forced? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was forced because I totally didn't get like when Eddie walks into their hotel room and she's in the shower. Mm-hmm. I didn't think she did it on purpose. She just like was like, oh my god, he can see me in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she doesn't move either.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Right,
jerk
it's
back.
like a deer in a headlight thing.
So I have a theory.
Because I mean, she's not this wholesome girl.
No, she's a gold digger.
That Tom Cruise thinks he is.
That's the thing.
She is.
She's a gold digger.
Right.
So I think what actually was happening a little bit, maybe not completely, but a little bit, was that she is almost looking at both guys and going, okay, which one of these two is going to make more money?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Which one of these, if I hook my trailer to them, is going to get me further? That's what I think is taking place there, and I think there's a part of it that she just she's kind of trashy.
Yeah.
I mean, she met
and
Tom
that's the way
Cruise
I
in the
took
fucking police office, police station. I mean, after robbing Tom Cruise's parents and getting caught, and then he goes down there to collect his parents' stuff, I guess, and then meets her in the police station, handcuffed.
Yeah.
And everything's just doesn't think anything about it because he's an idiot.
Well, and then she has the mother's necklace still.
Yeah, my mom has one just like it. You moron.
You idiot.
Yeah. Well, that's necessary too, though. For his whole part in this movie, it's necessary for him to be stupid.
Right.
Because both Carmen and Eddie are taking advantage of Vince. Excuse me.
Right.
And if he was smarter, he would realize that. He would, break away from Carmen, et cetera, et cetera. He gets the last laugh though at the end. Because, I mean, whenever they show up in Atlantic City and they meet back up with Newman, he's changed to the point where he's actually wearing the pants, quote unquote, in the relationship now and bossing her around.
Yeah.
And she's not very happy about it.
No.
I think she's more unhappy in those last few scenes, than she is in the rest of the film because she's no longer really in the driver's seat. He is.
Yeah, well, she's never really been totally in the driver's seat.
No, Eddie
She
took more of that.
She was
than
once,
anything.
but that was just like, hey, how does it feel to be in a driver's seat? But
Yeah.
I'm not going to actually let you drive it.
This whole movie though, like, subjugates women pretty hard.
yeah,
So
yeah, she was like, in your place, woman, type thing.
Yeah, the
And
whole time.
I was like, damn, that's crazy.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier, with her being in her underwear whenever Eddie came back to the hotel when Vince wasn't there, I'm like, okay, she's just a slut. That was my that was my taking of it, and it didn't even dawn on me that she was trying to seduce the guy.
Oh yeah. And he wasn't having anything of it.
Right,
He was
right,
like,
right,
look here.
because he's calling out a hustle. That's a hustle
Yeah.
he still recognizes.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, he calls out a hustle he still recognizes. Like,
Yeah.
okay, if you're going to use that thing, use it the right way. And she's like, use what thing?
Right.
Yeah.
It was at that point I realized, but I was like, the film could have done without it.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Yeah, it could have been skipped. And
The women...
I think it's good for their characters. We know way more about them.
True. I think
of
the
that.
women in this movie, though, were add-ons. Like, I have a theory about the older woman that Paul Newman's talking to the entire thing.
Mm.
She doesn't feel natural in the film whatsoever. She does not feel like she
you think
fits
she's
there.
a hustler?
No, it's
I
not
think she
that.
was there just for that bar scene when Eddie is trying to convince him to go on the road with him. Just
Yeah.
to do that whole, I know everything.
It's
I'm
possible.
very observant of people, but
Yeah.
yet
Right.
he's...
She just seems like such an add-on. Like, she doesn't seem to really fit in the entire... I mean, like, the only time we ever see them talk is the one time at the beginning at the bar.
In the end.
They go to dinner together
Oh, yeah.
with Julian is in the way, and then we see her at the end in Atlantic City. And other than that, she's a voice on the phone. She's not even a voice. It's just him with the phone up to his ear,
Right.
and just talking to the phone.
Yeah, you don't hear her at all.
No, so I mean, I don't know. It's just very strange.
She's just a minor character.
very,
Yeah,
very minor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Julian is more of an important character than she is.
Right.
So
Did you have anything else that you...
what'd you like
Yeah,
or dislike?
I had, how last show I was complaining about montages.
Yeah, there's a lot in this one.
Right, and I mean, there's, and I don't mind movies with montages, but the one montage that just it threw me out of the film, and I just couldn't wrap my head around what I was seeing and why I was seeing it was where there were 3 different scenes during this montage overlaid on top of each other,
Oh yeah.
and it's like you see a Paul Newman's big head, and then you see Paul Newman's body
Yeah.
sitting there at the chair, and then you see the game going on, and I'm like, what in the world? How trippy is this? And I'm like, what is this thing? Please
Here's
stop.
here's where Fast Eddie Felson does mushrooms at the billiard
Yes,
table. Yeah.
that's what it felt like. I'm like, holy
Jesus.
crap.
No, I think the montages in particular, whenever they start happening, like the one where they're driving to the first billiards room and it's not there, and then they get back in the car and it's like, down, and it goes off on another musical montage. I was like, oh, John's got about 1.5 minutes in between montages in this movie. He's gonna enjoy it.
Right.
The dialogue, some of the dialogue bothers me in this movie.
Like what?
Like the in the car when he's explaining, he's like, it's not about sex, it's not about politics, it's not about whatever, it's about money. And she's like, it's who's got the most and who's the best or whatever. And she's like, so are you the best liquor salesman? And he's like, you betcha. And then he reaches down and flips on the
Flips
radio,
the radio,
real loud. I'm like I was just stupid. I didn't like that. I was like, you betcha.
And I noticed that during that scene right after he flipped the volume knob, Paul Newman, he's a was an avid race car driver.
Yeah.
Right? Really good race car driver. But yet he was like laying on the line, the yellow line on the outside. It's like, yeah, I get that you're trying to pass the camera truck, but it's just like, correct it a little bit. You've passed it.
Yeah.
Well, the race car drivers do hug that inside line.
I guess so. I guess
quite a bit.
If you are turning left, then yes.
Exactly.
Between some of the dialogue and the music, some of the music's great.
Yeah,
like the Phil Collins is great. The Eric Clapton song that's just the way that it is, or the way that moves it, or something like that. That's a great one.
I love the motif song that keeps showing up in here.
That one.
That song.
Yeah, but I mean, like Werewolves of London is in it. I mean, like, there's a lot of really good songs, and then there's a lot of really bad songs in it. And I'm like, ooh, the '80s just kicked them right in the balls on this one. Like, it's just
that didn't stick out to me.
The one song when they first show up to the bar and Eddie gives them the Balabushka. That scene, the song in that scene is awful. Like, it's just not a good song. It's really, really bad.
Well, it's like you mentioned Werewolves of London, and that was when Vince was like singing it as he was playing pool.
Fucking great song.
It's like I've been
hair
there.
Perfect.
I've been there.
Yes, his hair was perfect.
I've been there when you're like playing pool or something like that, and you're on a roll, you're hot, and you're singing the song because it's like, I'm cool,
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of cringy to see
all
Tom
I can
Cruise.
see is Kyle being Tom Cruise now, with Kyle on his shirt, like his name right on his shirt.
Actually, speaking of that shirt,
that would be really funny.
I kind of want one now.
Yeah.
Never thought about it, but yeah, I kind of want one that says Vince. But the lead singer of the Killers, the band.
Yes.
Apparently when he tours around, sometimes he wears a Vince shirt that's just like that.
Really?
And because he likes the movie, apparently.
That's funny. Yeah. Speaking of singers, though, Iggy Pop makes an appearance.
Oh yeah,
in
that's
this.
right. Yeah,
yes.
disgusting Iggy Pop.
Yeah,
looks like an anorexic 17-year-old ugly
He makes
girl.
good movies or music though.
Oh, his music's fine.
Yeah,
but he is disgusting. He reminds me of
even when he was.
That feeling you get when you walk into a room and the cockroaches run, that's the feeling I get when I look at Iggy Pop.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Even when he was shooting his shot, that we see him shoot one shot, he throws up his back leg, like kind of like effeminately kind of thing.
Because that's Iggy Pop.
That's Iggy Pop.
Ugh.
Yeah. He's looking good for his age though.
Well, it was 86.
Yeah, no, I was saying today.
Today.
He's looking good for, I don't know how old he is. He's got to be in his 60s.
I don't know. He looks like one of the older senators that are currently like Dianne Feinstein.
Oh my god.
He looks like Nancy Pelosi's younger brother.
Doesn't. Oh my god.
It's just not a good look. Ugh. It's not a good look.
But something I did like. Very rarely do I watch a movie with Tom Cruise in it, and I don't go, "Hey, this is Tom Cruise playing this guy."
Yes.
Right? This one, I actually forgot I was watching Tom Cruise.
Yeah. So I said the same thing to myself because I know what I said about Dark Shadows last week with Johnny Depp. Mm-hmm. And as I'm watching, I'm like, yep, no, Tom Cruise is better than Johnny Depp to me. Because, I mean, again, I can watch this and not go, oh, he's putting on some weird-ass accent where I can't tell where he's from. And even he doesn't remember because he's done so many drugs. I don't feel that with Tom Cruise. Now, Tom Cruise is so white bread that it doesn't matter where he's from. He could be a fighter pilot or a
NASCAR driver.
Or a NASCAR driver, yeah.
He speaks the same. It's
the same guy.
It's just, Tom Cruise.
But it's...
but I do agree with you, John, though. In this movie, it did not feel like a normal Tom Cruise movie.
I have a theory about why, though, too.
Why is
Because
that?
he wasn't the main character?
Because Paul Newman is so good... too, that he's just the king of that whole cast.
He reminds me of Team America, where Alec Baldwin, you cannot act me, boy.
Oh yeah, you can't act at me, boy.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I The Hustler in particular is one of my favorite movies from the '60s. I just think it's a great movie, and Paul Newman, just in general, I think he was a great actor. I think he was ahead of his time for his acting, especially in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, another one of my favorite Paul Newman movies is The Sting.
Yeah, and I like Cool Hand Luke,
The Sting is
too.
really good,
yeah,
too.
Cool Hand Luke is one of my favorites.
I didn't have it on my list, but I think I'm going to add it.
Yeah, Cool Hand Luke's on mine.
See what all the genres are that it falls under. But
yeah, it's got to
crime.
It's got to fall under crime or something
like that.
And watching the film a second time, I noticed that whole dialogue between Eddie and Carmen when Eddie first meets Vince and Carmen.
Yeah.
Where he's basically telling her, yeah, you should have taken the bet. You shouldn't have taken the bet, and yeah, you should have, and all that. That is basically their whole dialogue. There sums up the entire movie.
Yeah, as far as the development of
the development
Carmen
of this
and
is
Vince,
what you need to be doing.
Yes.
Yeah,
as far as those two go.
Yeah,
I agree.
Now, granted, the movie is about
Paul Newman.
Eddie. Yeah, about Paul Newman's character, but But yeah, I was like, holy crap, that explains like 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah. The music is probably my number one thing. The second thing that I don't like. The second thing is some of the, I don't know, some of the stuff just hasn't aged super well. Like I think the main characters do fine, but some of the surrounding supporting characters, I don't know, it feels very 80s. It doesn't feel like something you can watch and you could be like, hey, this could happen right now. It feels like, no, it's three people on a road trip. There's no cell phones. There's no, they're not able to look up anything. Like the whole premise of billiards playing in this sense, the way that they're doing it is anonymity. But now, today, if you were to do it, it'd be like the minute you started doing well, you'd be on Facebook.
Right.
And be like, oh, you're that douchebag I saw on Facebook.
Right.
You act like a ninja every time you make a shot.
It would be on Twitter.
Yeah,
you'd be trending.
That's very true.
So, I mean, there's a sense of, there's a vintage classic sense to that for us, especially where I'm like, no, it's kind of nice. But at the same time, it hasn't aged super well because of that as well.
Yeah, because, I mean, back then, you could go town to town and be totally anonymous.
Yes.
And, like, nobody would know who the hell you are.
Yeah.
And you could run every single pool hall, within a state or, all these cities and everything without anybody noticing.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you...
But now I'm sure there's some billiards forum that somebody would be
I
like,
know, right?
You see this jackass with
a
babushka come in?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Saying he can't play?
Not a babushka.
Or not a babushka.
That's the dance from the Addams
family. Babushka.
Mamushka.
Mamushka is, that's right.
A babushka is like a
Russian
Soviet
woman.
Grandma, right?
Yeah, it's like a Soviet woman or something like that. It's got the
little old lady with the head wrap.
little head wrap.
Yeah, see, this guy came in with a babushka. It was
tell
me how well he was.
That would be quite interesting.
She made borscht. It was delicious.
Oh, hell yeah.
Anyhow. But yeah, no, I do think that the movie is good. I'm not calling it a bad movie, but I just think there's pieces of it that, like, I'm not going to fault Paul Newman for his style. I'm not going to fault Grady Seasons for his style in this movie with the polyester leisure pants and the
guy who, and by the way, the guy who played that is a real pro billiards player at the time.
Yeah,
I don't know his name. There's like two or three of them in there.
Yeah, I would expect to see it, especially some of the shots and stuff. You can't fake it the whole time, But his outfit, I mean, with the feathered butt head haircut too.
Yeah,
I can't get up in the morning without a hair dryer and some mousse.
Yeah,
it's just not a good look, man.
That dude was ready to go out for Saturday Night Fever. Or
yes,
something.
he was exactly.
I did like seeing John Turturro.
So did I. I liked John Turturro.
I was like, okay, he's in that. That's cool. But I was surprised but yet not surprised, and really glad that Bill Cobbs was in it, because he just, to me, every scene that he's in any movie he's in, he steals the scene.
Yeah, that was the guy in the.
He has a presence.
That was the guy in the bar who said, "Why don't you shut up?" or something like that, right?
No, he's the he was the guy who owned Chalkies.
Yeah, he was the guy who knew who
Orvis.
Fast Eddie was.
Yes.
Orvis, my fault.
Yeah, that's his
Orvis.
name. Yeah,
okay, I apologize.
Yeah, that's him. Anytime I see him in something, because he's not typically a main leading man.
Yeah,
but he's always a supporting character. But every single scene he's in, he steals.
Yeah, I liked his deadpan look at Vince whenever he's
he's
like, "How's it going, Orvis?" And he's just like, "The
he's
fuck
like,
are you?
Why are you talking to me?"
Yeah, exactly.
I like his response. He looks at Eddie and he looks at Vince and he looks back at Eddie and he says, "You know who you have steak rolling for you or steak holding for you? Steak horsing."
Yeah.
He's like, "That's Fast Eddie Felson." He's like, "Who are you?"
End of the world.
End of the world. That's right.
Yeah. Who are you? The end of the world.
Yeah.
It's a funny. Like I said, I agree with you. It's a funny scene in particular.
And I liked how he's like, he told I normally take 10, I normally take 20%, but for you it'll be 10. And then he looks at Tom Cruise and he goes 15 because of your association.
Hey, you know what? 15% is 15%. Take it.
Right?
Take 5 off.
Yeah, well, the Bill Cobbs, that's where I've seen it from, is That Thing You Do, which is another movie that I really like. Mm-hmm. He was Del Paxton. He was the...
That's right. He was the Trump piano player.
Yes.
Yes, Del Paxton. And I think you do.
Yes, he was either a piano player or a drummer.
He wasn't a drummer.
No, yeah, you're right. I think he was a piano
He's
player.
either piano or trumpet now. Now I'm questioning. I think he was piano.
I think it was piano.
Yeah, because the drummer was what's his name? Shades. I forget his actual name in that movie, but yeah.
And he had a small part in Demolition Man, as well.
Yes, he was one of the cops, the one who was actually around from 1997, then was still there whenever they woke up. He was
the
later.
old, the aged.
Yeah, he's
cop
the only one who
knew
was
what
still
the
around.
hell was going on.
Yeah, they called him the Demolition Man. He's like, I'm here so that the audience knows what the hell's going on.
I'm the link.
I'm here so people don't have to figure out how the fuck did you all know this. Yeah, I remember.
But I mean, of all the good actors in that scene,
yes,
you had Demi Moore,
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock, yeah,
Sandra Bullock,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I get those two are interchangeable to me.
No worries. Especially in the early 90s, late 90s, excuse me.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what's the other guy? Not Roy Schneider.
No, it's Schneider though. Are you sure it's not? No, it's not Roy Schneider. That's Jaws.
Oh, you're talking about
Rob
Schneider.
Yeah,
Rob
it's too close.
Rob
That's
Schneider.
the problem. Yeah.
And there were a couple other ones, a couple other actors that were in that scene.
Technically, Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes were technically in that scene as well because he's showing them up on screen.
Right.
He's like, they called him the Demolition Man.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, he steals the show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, another thing that's just kind of interesting trivia about this is while they were shooting in Chicago for this movie, Scorsese was reading a book called Wise Guys.
Yes.
Which does anybody know what film that he got the idea to do from that?
I do, but I'll let you say it.
The Goodfellas.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So, arguably debatable. Whatever, one of Scorsese's best movies.
Am I funny?
Yes.
Haha.
Yeah.
Was it? What's funny about it?
Am I a clown to you?
Am I a clown? No.
And I know Eddie's fuming because I said debatable. One of his best movies.
No, I like Goodfellas. I mean, it's okay. I'm not a huge Scorsese fan in general. Like, there's stuff that he's done that I like, but I'm not like, oh my god, Scorsese. Like, no, that's not. I'm not that guy.
Oh, dear.
What the hell was that?
Well, see, we'll see. And I'm not like there's a couple of directors out there that I will go out of my way to see their films.
Yeah.
I'll go. Scorsese's one of them.
Me too.
Spielberg's another one. I'll say, okay, well, that's directed by him. Okay, I will actually go. And see that
Wes
movie,
Anderson is actually starting to become a director that I'm like, yeah, I'll go see one of his movies.
And and I was turned off with Wes Anderson, with
Which one? Life of Steve.
yes, that one.
Steve Zissou.
Yeah, Life
Yeah.
of Steve. Life
That was an
Aquatic.
awful movie.
Yeah,
Life
Life
Aquatic.
Aquatic.
See, I didn't
Yeah, in
see
fact,
that
well, see, I watched
I like
it.
that one though.
I watched it and turned it off because I bought it without seeing it, sight unseen, and I turned it off halfway through. Justin came over and I'm like, all right, maybe it's just me, and turned it on, and he's like, no, this is crap. We need to turn this off. And I'm like, yeah, but this is where I got. And he's like, yeah, turn it off. Turn it off. But I really did like Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yes.
That was
That is a good movie.
that was amazing movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I liked Fantastic Mr. Fox. That was a really cool movie. It's like just animation. It was before like Isle of Dogs. Isle of Dogs was also a Wes Anderson movie.
Did you like Royal Tenenbaums and stuff? Because that's like where his name got really made, was Royal Tenenbaums.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, you should definitely see that. Yeah, Rushmore was. See, here the problem I had with Rushmore, and I don't remember if Jason Schwartzman was in Royal Tenenbaums, but I don't like Jason Schwartzman. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing with him in it that I can say I like. Yeah. I dislike that person altogether. I even don't like his music. California. Nope, not for me. Not for me.
Well, since this movie was all about hustling, how much did you think they hustled in the budget?
The budget was low.
Yeah, so mid 80s.
Yeah. This is estimated, by the way.
Estimated.
Yeah.
I'll say 40 million.
Okay. John?
50 million.
50. Okay.
Okay, I'm going low.
Okay.
I'm going super low because I don't think it had that much money.
Probably didn't.
I'm going 10 million.
Oof. Yeah, Eddie was almost on it. It was 13.8 million.
Wow.
They made that movie for 13.8.
Because think about it, there's nothing in it. All they do is
really
they're going to pool halls and they're driving in a Cadillac. and there's some hotel rooms.
That's true, yeah.
So you have the actors, and then you have whoever had to edit it, which I'm guessing the editors were
they
on
probably
a
all
shoestring
shot
budget.
it in Chicago, like everything.
Probably.
There probably wasn't much moving around.
There was an Atlantic City shot because that boardwalk, I don't think there's a boardwalk like that in Chicago.
That's all stock footage.
He was walking on it.
Oh, it was edited.
Kidding.
Well, we already know he can interlace things.
Kidding.
It was edited by Thelma Shoemaker.
Right. Yeah, Scorsese's personal editor.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense that it was low though, because again, I imagine Newman probably got 3, maybe 4 million for it. Tom Cruise maybe got $1 million.
He won Best Actor for it.
Did he? Yeah, that's awesome. Constantino or whatever her name is probably got like 500 grand for it, maybe 750, and then everybody else in that got, hey, welcome to a Newman movie.
I'd say
your name might be made here.
Right.
I'd say the most expensive set was probably the tournament at the end.
Probably.
Oh,
that was a huge hall. It was like
I don't think
almost like an arena.
I don't think there were any sets though. As
no,
far
I meant,
as like
that's what I meant.
You mean like a rental space?
Yeah.
That's
probably
that was probably a sound stage.
No, I don't think so. I think it was a hall.
It was probably somewhere in Atlantic City, maybe, that had this big giant hall or arena. It almost looked like an arena almost.
Yeah, it did look like an arena. And then they probably rented the tables for a day, filmed all the shots in there, and then got all the tables back to whoever they rented them from.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I guarantee you it was done as cheaply as possible.
Just under 14 million, huh?
Yeah, just under 14 million, 13.8. So opening weekend.
Oh, low.
Yeah, yeah. If they made it for 14, I'm gonna. I'll say. Man, I don't know. 20 million.
Okay.
Opening weekend.
Opening weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm gonna go real low.
Million.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the numbers I'm in. I'm gonna go 1.5 million.
Okay. So Eddie was closest. It was 6.3 million.
Oh, okay.
So they made over
half.
a little over half, yeah,
on the first weekend,
which is not bad,
Yeah,
especially back then.
Yeah.
So worldwide gross now, since this movie came out.
Now you can throw out your 20 million, Justin.
No, it'll be way more than that now. Yeah. Since 86.
Yeah.
100 million.
Okay.
120 million.
Okay.
85 million.
Yeah, Eddie was closest. 52.2 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it
especially if these aren't 2020 adjusted dollars. If these are the dollars from the 80s to now, and you just add them together, it makes sense. If you were to say 13.5 million 1980s dollars adjusted to today, it'd be like spending 80 million, 100 million dollars.
Yeah. See, that's the thing though. I don't know if those numbers are
adjusted
inflation or not.
I don't think they are. I think it's estimated. That's what the budget was back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what how they figured up these numbers.
I know it wasn't a lot. Yeah. Again, when it comes to Scorsese, I think he either hits a home run or he just right into the foul zone. Nope. Did not make it very far, and that's why I don't blow kisses at him like I did earlier.
Well, and like I said, I like I've said just about every show, I always look at Roger Ebert's stuff, and he mentions he did not give this movie a favorable review. I mean, he didn't tank it, but he basically at some point in there said Scorsese seemed trapped in his film school his film school ways or something like that, and the way Roger can cut you down, Ebert had a way of cutting somebody down but still making it seem like he was
right. And this was actually one of the only Scorsese movies that Roger Ebert did not fairly like.
Yes.
And just to say, I enjoyed his film school ways, like the whip pans, to follow the shots. You had the whip pan to go up on Eddie a couple times, to show what he's doing.
Yeah. There
was the following shot that they did where it was a following that led to a zoom and then a tilt up really dramatically. Whenever he says, "Hey Vince," he turns around, he's like, "Don't worry about it." In the back room of the Toys R Us, whatever the Toys R Us was called. Yeah. I enjoy those little pieces. The high angle shot that shows that he walks away from Forrest Whitaker's table feeling much smaller as a man.
Yeah.
It helps me to know, okay, what I think the filmmaker's doing here is reinforced now by the film, by the actual shots. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is what they're trying to do. It's like the canted angle that was on the stairs. Things are not correct on the stairs. That's why shit looks sideways.
Well, that was only one sentence in the multi-paragraph review. So,
I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it wasn't his only reason for.
Sure,
I'm just saying it's something I enjoy.
I did a quick conversion. So 1986 money of $13.8 million is equals $32.7 million today.
Yeah, that's like a good indie film.
Yeah.
You can't even. That's like a Wes Anderson film. Probably
I don't know.
more.
Wes Anderson.
Well, I mean,
definitely pays a lot just because he has a lot of it's like a mosh pit of actors.
Yeah, I'm talking about
And
like back
actresses.
in Royal Tenenbaum.
Oh
days.
yeah. Way back then.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the critics and the audience ratings for Rotten Tomatoes real quick. We always start with the critics, so that's what we'll do. What do you guys think the critics rated?
I'm gonna go the critic score first, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do probably 62%.
Okay, John.
80.
I'm gonna go higher. 85.
89
Wow.
was the critic score.
Makes sense.
Well,
So what do you think the audience rated?
So I guess the audience, I'll probably do like 75%.
75.
get out of my head.
Sorry.
70. Oh, I won't do 70.
You did 70? Okay.
I'm going higher again. 91.
73.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, we tied.
Yeah, so the audience
was close.
disliked the movie more than the critics did, which I find
I'm
interesting.
surprised. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
Huh.
Because I thought this would have like an audience appeal to it.
I wondered
With
if that's
Paul
just
Newman,
because
Tom Cruise.
Well, I wondered if that was just because
Scorsese.
it's a Scorsese directed movie and they kind of have liked Scorsese movie. I don't know. It's just
Maybe. I mean, some of his... Before this, he made Raging Bull, and then before that, he did like The King of Comedy, and then before that, it was like something that
So
I don't
this was
remember. and then
actually one of
Taxi
his
Driver.
first films then.
It was like his 5th or 6th, something like that, yeah.
The rookie back then, I guess.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, okay, well then I guess let's go ahead and if we're done talking about it, we'll go ahead and rate it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I guess you go first.
Yeah,
since
since
you,
I picked the movie, I guess I'll go first here. So again, like I said, this is probably one of my favorite movies. I like the original also a lot. And I really just don't know what to say about it. I like the filmmaking. I like the colors. I like the music. Paul Newman is fucking genius, as he always is.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Cruise sometimes annoys me in some of his movies, but even though he's hi-yahing around, like that doesn't really annoy me all that much.
Well, that's not his fault. That's the story.
I think he was, I think he was annoying.
It's in his character.
They used
Right.
it. They
Yeah.
used it this time. They were like, "Hey, you're kind of annoying. Let's make this make sense."
Yeah.
Let's make
we don't have a couch for you to jump on, but you
Yeah,
can jump on
right.
a bed.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
you can throw this $20,000 queue around.
There you go.
So I think I'm gonna give it like a good 8, just because I think it's a really good movie,
Okay.
and I
Alright.
think that's probably the highest I've rated a movie that we've done.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
John?
I like the film overall. I did have some issues with it, as I said, with the montage scenes, but mostly I was wowed by a lot of scenes too. The acting to me was great. The cinematography was spot on, as well as the color. The story, other than the hi-yahing by Tom Cruise, was excellent.
I'm gonna make that a text tone for you.
Oh my gosh! Luckily, I won't be in the room when I text you.
Good.
But yeah, I liked the not necessarily a passing of the torch movie, but the I'm gonna teach you, but then I ultimately end up teaching myself
Sure.
movie. So overall, it's a really good film. I'm gonna give it an 8.2.
Wow. Okay.
8.2. Okay.
Eddie.
Okay. So I like The Color of Money. I have watched it. What's half of 100? Like around
50?
50. No, I meant like, is there a word? But
You know what? That's what it
Half of
is.
100?
That's why he gives the movies low scores, because he doesn't know the numbers.
No, that's not what it is.
Okay, we got.
So what's the word of
we have
half of
0
50?
to 10.
No, I meant like, is there a word for like half of 100? I don't think so. I think it's just 50.
Half
But
100?
I've
Half
watched it.
100?
Sure.
Half a century.
I've watched it half a century number of times. I've watched this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen it a lot of times.
That's a lot.
I do like it. What's interesting to me is that I like it, but it has a lot of flaws. And when I watched it this time, I'm watching it, I'm like, yeah, that always bothered me, and that bothered me, and that bothered me, and oh shit, that bothers me too. There's things I like about it that are really good, like Paul Newman, obviously, I like, right? The hi-yahing, not so much. I like the focus on pool without it being a pool movie per se. But then you have like Iggy Pop licking his lips and shit. I just don't, you can stop. So overall, I mean, I think it's a good movie. I think it's a solid Paul Newman movie, and it's probably one of those Scorsese movies that I like without it feeling like I'm going to watch a gangster movie for the next 2.5 hours.
Right.
I'm going to say a 6.5.
6.5 for Eddie.
Yeah. That's a movie that I like.
Wow.
Yeah, but it seems
What
like
does that
it
say?
seems like you like the movie 50% or half of 100.
Yeah.
The times you've seen it.
No, I think I like
like
it
for me.
as long as
Sounds
I'm
like
not.
it goes down the more you watch it.
Yeah.
Well,
I
'cause
watched it 50
think
times, so now I can pick it apart.
I know.
A lot.
I think I'm noticing more flaws the more that I go. But yeah.
Right.
Well,
Go
there you
ahead.
go. That's,
Yeah.
Kyle?
And that's the exact opposite way of I watch movies. I just watch them probably once and then actually get the
Sometimes I can do that. If
get the
it's-
score.
If it's awful right off the bat, I don't have to watch it 50 times. I go, oh, it's awful already.
You see, with me, if I watch if it's awful,
Yeah.
I will watch it again maybe a year
Just to
later,
make sure.
Just
Yeah.
to make sure. Like
I
I
do
did
that.
I did that with Big Fish.
Yeah.
You know, I watched Big Fish and I'm like, Then I waited like 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I like this movie now.
I've watched Anchorman
Yeah.
a few times, and I walked out of Anchorman, and I still can't. I mean, it's funnier at home than it was in the theater. In the theater, I was like, well, this was a waste of $14. But at least at the house now, as Justin just found on a flight of stairs, at least at the house, I can
Kiss of
turn
death.
it off or fast forward through the parts that are just not that funny. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Yeah.
And not Will Ferrell.
So, Kyle, what do you
So-
rate it?
Yeah, so obviously it's been a long time since I've watched this movie, so it was kind of like watching it brand new. Overall, the movie, it kind of wowed me, I guess. It wasn't like I'm trying to think of like the other Paul Newman movies, obviously, that I don't necessarily compare. I don't like comparing movies, but seeing Paul Newman and having him be such an iconic actor and everything, he's good in everything. So he definitely brings that caliber up.
Like one of his last movies he ever filmed was Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks.
Yes,
He's
that's
amazing.
and that's a phenomenal movie too. But it's just like if Paul Newman was not in this movie,
Oh, it'd be awful.
It would suck.
You're right. You're right.
Right. So Paul Newman really raises the bar on everything that he's in. So he could take a shitty movie and make it gold. So I mean, with that, at the very end of the movie, I liked his last line, and it like smash cut to black, and you're like, oh man, kind of wish I would have seen the ending duel or something like that. But it probably would have went on and on and on, or something like that. Another John famous montage scene of breaking balls and shit like that.
So 13 montages.
I know.
It's my own hell. That's what it is.
It is.
The movie's actually called The Color of Montages.
So I'm gonna get this like a 7.6.
7.6.
Yeah.
It's funny, by the way, what you said about Paul Newman. I think of Richard Dreyfuss that way too. Richard Dreyfuss to me is very much like Paul Newman in that me they're both like blank slates, but at the same time they have their own style. Right. So like when you add Richard Dreyfuss to a movie, you're like, okay, I'm getting a short guy who's got this kind of nerdy look to him, but he's also got kind of an attitude that that I can kind of work with. And if we give him a character that sort of plays within those realms, he can really make something explode. Paul Newman's the same way. He looks like white toast, and then you put him into things, and he's like, well, I'm Paul Newman. I'm kind of a smooth talking guy. You know what? I like to race cars and kiss women. You're like, oh, shit, it's Paul Newman.
And makes salad dressing.
He's a freaking badass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, out of nowhere. Yeah.
But like the majority of the money they make from that Newman's own salad dressing, they donate.
Yeah, it goes.
Yes.
Pretty much all of it goes to charity.
Yeah. To his own
Is that why
charity.
you ate so much of it?
That's why I'm fat.
I love his salad dressing.
Yeah, it's not bad. They have a really good vinaigrette. I don't like their ranch.
Oh, the other ranch.
But their vinaigrette's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm very, very particular about my ranch. What ranch are you, anyway?
He's a Hidden Valley guy.
I do kind of. It depends, though. I don't know.
What kind
Restaurant
of
ranch?
What kind of
Whatever they
ranch do
have.
you hang up as an IV in your bedroom? Just give it to me straight.
Yeah. So, averaging out all of our scores, that means The Color of Money comes out to be a 7.6.
Nice.
That's a respectable score.
That's a
for
pretty
that.
good score, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I scored it. So
Yeah.
That is exactly what you
Good job.
said. Yes, good.
Good job.
Good.
Kyle.
There we go.
You hustled us all.
That's what you get when you put a 6.5 out there.
yeah, bring down the average.
I'm proud of you. It was above a 5.
I thought about it, but I was like, no,
Is that
I've seen
Eddie's
it.
highest
I've
rating?
seen it way too many times for that
No,
to
I
be a
don't think
5.
so.
I think so,
I think 6.5 he gave
Layer cake.
No, not Layer Cake.
I think The Signal.
The
Signal.
The
Yeah,
Signal.
I think he also
The
gave
Signal
it a
might have
6.5.
been the highest or something.
Have to look.
Yeah.
Anyway, real quick though.
Had high standards.
And if you don't remember, kind of like us, go to our website, AmericanPodcasting.net,
Good
and
plug.
go to the Screen Riot page and
Yeah,
check out
yeah.
all the list of past movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can organize them however you want. See, how terrible Eddie scores all of our movies.
Listen, I
So-
just have high standards, okay? I'm a judgy bastard, and I have
Oh
high
my
standards.
God.
Deal with it.
And if you're doing that, you're obviously loving the show. So go visit our shop.
Yeah,
That's right.
Get some
Exactly.
merch.
Two quick things before we roll or spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel.
So Scorsese does a lot of director cameos. Kind of like Quentin and Hitchcock.
Yes.
Thank you. So he has 2 in this apparently that I didn't know.
One's just his
technically-
voice. One's
well,
just his
okay,
voice at the
3
beginning.
then because I
Okay.
wasn't counting that one. But
Okay.
yes, you're right because the
The-
voice at the beginning he explains how 9-ball works.
Is he one of the
Right.
referees at the
No,
the tournament?
technically, I guess you wouldn't count this, but when we first get to Atlantic City in the movie, there's a bunch of crowd walking by, and there's a man walking a dog, like a white dog.
Okay.
That was Scorsese's dog.
Oh.
But it wasn't Scorsese.
It wasn't Scorsese.
Scorsese's dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
the dog's name is Zoe,
So
Oh.
it's
How much
Scorsese
did-
and it's actually
by
it's
proxy.
credited in the.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
called.
that's
It
funny.
says dog walk by.
So the dog
It's
got
Zoe.
paid.
Probably.
We should probably use
Yeah.
past tense, though, right? This dog's definitely dead.
Oh yeah, for
it's
sure.
Been,
by
it's
now.
been 25
it
years.
was
definitely
Scorsese's
dead, yeah.
dog. Yes.
Okay.
But
Film is
he
forever.
actually he did appear on film, but
Okay.
just of his hand. Apparently, at the 1 hour 30 mark, around there, there's a shot of a break, of shooting pool break.
Yeah.
Apparently, that was Scorsese who did that.
Yeah.
Who did the break?
It had to be a blast to make this movie, by the way, because you basically just sit
I bet
around
it would be
all day filming, like just playing pool,
And
then
just think
being
of all
like,
the cool shots coming up with all the cool angles and all that for. How,
there was
how do you
def-
make it
yeah.
interesting?
There was
Remember
definitely a really cool shot. I think you missed it while we were watching it. It was like a wide angle, and I think Vince was hitting the 9-ball, and it was like the camera was placed right on one of the bumpers, and the
Okay.
camera was the bumper, and it was really neat to see like the 9-ball just disappear out of frame, and you'd see the cue ball, and it was just really cool.
Did you said there was a cheat shot at one point too?
Yes, it was when Newman was watching Vince play. I think it was
It was right after the montage that he hated.
Yeah, they actually took like a cutout of a pool table and put it right in front of his face to make it eye level.
Yeah.
And even though he was in a chair way up, the angle of it was off. Like if you would have done
I think
that,
they used like a really big telephoto lens to compress that space.
well, yeah. But if you would have taken that angle of the pool table,
Yeah.
with his face, you would have seen like the wood grain or something like that, not
Okay.
the actual
Right.
felt.
Gotcha,
So they kind
gotcha.
of had to flip it up a little bit.
They
and,
probably tilted that table.
and faked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. I was
So-
just curious. Yeah.
So let's basically Eddie, you're the only one left, so we won't
Yeah.
have to spin the wheel because
Eddie's
it's
it.
you.
Hey.
Oh, look, it came up
surprise!
Kyle.
Oh, hey, by the way, I got a cool new movie.
Sounds right.
It's from
It was new.
1935.
It was new in 35.
So let's go ahead and spin to see what genre he's gonna have to pick from.
Yeah.
And I know he wants sci-fi really badly,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it.
Okay.
so I'm going to predict romance,
Which
Let's
he'll
see.
probably pick a sci-fi
a sci-fi romance. Yeah.
I have those.
Here we go.
It's
Wild
Card. Woohoo!
No,
I said that
Nice.
earlier too.
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
you did.
You're,
Okay.
you're,
I
you're-
need to start playing the lottery.
right. You're picking all of our genres
I know.
before we even spin.
Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is go with a movie that's a little bit out there. It's called The Skin I Live In from 2011.
Sounds like a wild card movie.
Yep, it's got Antonio Banderas in it.
Oh, cool.
And the synopsis for it is: a brilliant plastic surgeon haunted by past tragedies creates a type of synthetic skin that withstands any kind of damage. His guinea pig, a mysterious and volatile woman who holds the key to his obsession.
Wow, that does
That's the
sound like a
movie.
very interesting movie.
Okay.
It's a little out there. So yeah,
Antonio
this is
Banderas.
this movie to me scores high because it's just different.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a different kind of movie. Yeah, to say the least. It is subtitled. It's Spanish with English subtitles. If you speak English, if
Okay.
you speak something else, it'll be those types of subtitles. But But for me, it's Spanish with English subtitles.
Right.
Cool.
Logic with Eddie.
I think for most of our listeners, that's how it would.
Just saying.
How it will be. All right. So The Skin I Live In, starring Antonio Banderas from 2011.
Yes.
So according to realgood.com, that's REEL good.com. You can find that for $2.99 on a bunch of services like iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime, and some other stuff.
Cool.
So go ahead and go rent that or buy it if you really like it.
True.
And
Rent it first.
yeah, rent it first.
It's a safe bet with this one. Yeah.
So that way they don't come back to us and be like, you told me to buy it.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
Definitely don't watch this one with the kids, by the way. This one's not a kids movie.
It's not a kids movie.
Not at all. Do not watch this with children.
Like, not a doctor. Not a kids movie.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Cool.
So go ahead and go to our website. Like we said earlier, AmericanPodcasting.net. Go to the Screen Riot show. You can see the table there and all of our histories of our shows. Listen to our past episodes. Visit our merch store. Go to our Patreon. Do all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. Until next time. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.